Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimunews update apo patinoda kupa mafirst hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So kana uri mutsva usabve pano usina kusubscribe, kulike nekushare. Muri yeZimbabwe nokukumbira kuti unge uchilike panapa nekushare because now it's 12 o'clock. Ndiri kutsvagirei nhau dzekuti munge muchiziva kuti chii chiri kuitika muno munyika yeZimbabwe, especially tenge tichianalyze nhau dzezvematongerwo enyika. So tiri kuona panapa ma-ex soldiers nema-ex combatants, ma-retired generals, ma-war veteran zvakunakidza muri yeZimbabwe. Iri kutonga drama kana kuita sei walonja pati idzva muri yeZimbabwe iri go against President Emerson Mnangagwa wachichallenge term extension nepati yavo iyoyoyo muri yeZimbabwe. Tiri kuona kuti manga musina opposition but iwo wati ano zvingatonetsa, regedzai titange opposition yedu isusu tisikazive kuti wachapedzerana sei muri yeZimbabwe. Tiri kuona kuti vakambotraya kukwidza matsamba kunana clerk of parliament, vakatraya kukwidza matsamba kunhu kwakasiyana siyana, ma-war veteran mazuva aya vakahaya valavhwa madhuku. Tiri kuona kuti nhauwa yekukota isati yatopera uku vari kufambisa nhauwa dzavo President Emerson Mnangagwa, chinova chicho chiratidzo chinoratidza kuti zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka. And for sure zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka muri yeZimbabwe, handizivi kuti zvichapera sei. So tiri kuona panapa pakanyorwa kunzi ex-soldiers launch party to challenge ED term extension. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe inonzi Zimbabwe Independent chaiwerenga uzasuku pati yacho itori nezita muri yeZimbabwe tichaona kuti zvinenge zvakamira sei. Inonzi Zimbabwe Guidance ndo zita repati yacho, ichitungamiriwa navaMoses kumbweya ndo sort of like uri kutungamiriwa navaOscar Chaza, then deputy president ndi Costize Zulu navaMoses kumbweya. Tiri kuona panapa kusanganisa na retired general muchena pane mashoko anyora na retired general Sigauke na chichi chimwe. So tiri kuona panapa pakanyorwa kunzi some retired and former serving members of the country security services have launched a new political party with its leadership pledging to restore discipline and accountability while challenging the government's handling of national affairs. The launch comes amid mounting opposition from retired soldiers and former security personnel to President Emerson Mnangagwa's push to extend his tenure beyond the constitutional 2 terms limit, a move that have deepened factionalism with ZANU-PF. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe vakuchitsanangura nhauwa yavo vari kulonjera inonzi chiko the constitutional amendment bill number 3 iri kunzi cable 3 iyoyo, which seeks to extend presidential and parliamentary terms and transfer the power to elect the president from the public to the parliament, is already sealed through the National Assembly and senators. This is despite widespread criticism from civil society, opposition parties and some ruling parties insiders. Tiri kuona muri yeZimbabwe ndo zvimwe zvinhu zviri kuitika, regedzai tidzike nadzo tione kuti zvakamira sei. Guidance of Zimbabwe. President Moses Kumbweya, a former security officer, said the movement had been born out of an oath of services to the nation. Tiri kuona panapa regedzai tidzike nayo munyase kuona kuti zviri kuita sei. Regedzai tidaiso tidzike nayo. For years we wore the uniform. For years we wear the uniform of the nation in the army, the police, and the prison services. He said, "We swore an oath not in a political party or individuals, but to Zimbabwe and people." He said members of the new party had witnessed the effect of corruption, poor governments, and the erosion of discipline while serving in the country's security institution. Tichidzika nayo muri yeZimbabwe munyasa kunzwisisa kuti chii chiri kuitika. So hapana pari kunyorwa tuma kuti diki pachiswa maadvert hatida kutenga isusu chii chimwe. Regedzai timboise ma-X panapa pama-advert panapa. Tikuona panapa panyorwa kunzi we have defended the country and its interests at the borders and beyond. Now we must defend it in the bedrooms now we must defend it in its bedrooms, its ministries, its communities, and for our people abroad. Kumbukira described the guidance of Zimbabwe as a political party born out of oath, saying it sought to restore order through services. Trikuona panapa muri yezimbabwe ndo bato izvara lonjwa iri. So tikuona panapa kanyorwa kunzi he strongly questioned ZANU-PF 2030 agenda to extend its tenure, arguing that it had failed to provide basics, public services and project vulnerable citizens. He accused the ruling elite for patriotism, personal power over national duty, and warned that the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 amends represented a dangerous power grab that would entrench a one-party state. As retired soldiers, we took an oath to defend the constitution, not to see it rewritten for the benefit of a few. We cannot stand by those who in power engineer an illegal coup to stay beyond their mandate. Kumbukira said. His deputy Constance Zulu said the party is determined to build a government for the prioritized ordinary citizen and vulnerable families. Tirikuona panapa muri yezimbabwe ndo zviri kuitika. Ma ex-combatants aya vari kutanga bato ravo idzva rinonzi Zimbabwe guidance. Tisikazive kuti nhauwa idzi dzichange dzichizofamba sei. Tonga tichikuzivisei pano sekukuzivisei kwataita kuti kune ma ex-combatants vatanga bato idzva. So tira kuti tiende kune mamwe ma-updates tione kuzivisei kuti zvakamira sei uye zviri kunyatsa kumbofamba sei. Tiri kuona panapa crisis ndonga tiri kuona rari birthday ravice president Constantino Chiwenga pakanyorwa happy 7th birthday soko mundu wandi. Tiri kuona panapa ndemai Chiwenga vanyora happy birthday to Vice President retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga. He celebrated his 7th birthday today. President E.D. Mnangagwa led the ZANU-PF Central Committee in making the accusation at the ZANU-PF headquarters. Rekedza timbonzwe zviri panapa muri yezimbabwe tione kuti nhauwa dzacho dzinenge dzakamira sei pano. Tione kuti zvingani rekedza itinzwe panapa pari kutaurwa nezveiko panapa.
How do we solve the situation?
As much as I was telling you, zviri panze apa atinyepera panze pari kutonhora. So by now I don't know kuti kana usina juice kana maybe usina gumbeza and unogona mwira chingoma
Unotofreeze akafa.
Definitely. So we are having situations which are running, which are concurrent. So how do we tackle those two situations? The immediate one, which we need to arrest and actually aid, and the long-term one, which you know that there's been neglect, from the politicians and having the resultant of this situation actually brewing and happening. Probably we can talk to those things, both of those two scenarios, and say, how do we move forward when we have been presented with such challenges?
I am saying, right now we are now faced with the situation in Kuti, and I hear Charumbira where it's coming from. And the point that we are now at a mercy of these people because they can take advantage of our vulnerability and capitalizing on that. Because this one has happened. But how do we move, from there? How do we make sure that our people do not fall victim to the system? Because we know the system can capitalize on this. And they are very, good at that. Right now, they've got a lot of money that, they are throwing, around. And the fact that you are hearing an individual who is not government, who is saying, I've commandeered 50 buses for the area of Manicaland to bring our people from Manicaland. What is going to happen there? Is he going to be vetting people? Are people going to provide, their addresses to say I am from Chikanga? I am from Ningi, Chagoti, I'm from Chagoti, for them to know, could we sure we moon wedu wenchi, winning Rikini. We're commanding Kalin, Saka, we need, to give them, transport. All what I am trying, to say is the situation that we are finding ourselves in, it requires a certain kind of action, to be taken so that we don't fall prey to the establishment and to the system, because the system would want to capitalize on this thing, yet they are the 1-0 and the causes of where we are, today. So even that, I mean, despite the fact that, we are faced, with this thing where our people are getting even, that help, we need to still conscientize our people to realize, Kuti, whatever it is that they are facing is a temporary, solution, but that temporary solution must not sway them to think, Kuti, so this is it. They still need to have the same conscience that they had when they left Zimbabwe, because it is the conscience that made them to leave Zimbabwe. And it is the same reality that is still existing, even though they are being extended in olive branch. We are removing you from South Africa, we are bringing you to Zimbabwe. But to Zimbabwe, you are still coming in and you're facing the same problems, or the same, reality which you ran away from. These guys, they've been putting in empowering, programs ever since Adam. But those empowering, programs, who have they helped? How many people have benefited? Can we say our communities are better off ever since Tungwarara started to gallivant and do a Vasco da Gama across, Zimbabwe, saying good is empowering, communities? Can we say good is Zimbabwean people have benefited? And these people are coming to face that same reality because Tungwarara can easily commandeer, those buses and make those people kuti vauye vaburiswe paSakubva Stadium. Wobonzizo chimbogarai muSakubva Stadium muno mutimbotaura nemi. Vounzwa mashoko ekuti izvo pacify. And yet the reality on the ground haisati neyachinja.
Uncle, I was gonna say, sorry to just jump in, because I think there's a bit of context that's missing from what I've been listening on this discussion here. So those that are on the ground, I had a discussion with them yesterday, and I've been discussing with them. They usually have conversations on TikTok. So they've been saying that vanhu vezano are coming and doing zvinhu zvezano parikupikwa vanhu in the area yemabhazi yayo.
Right.
And what they're doing is that they are favoring, there's like a favoritism that is going on for their people. So you're finding, Kuti, some people who are there are being left behind on buses because there's like favoritism that is going on, which also is leading to vanhu they're having to then agree kuti vari vanhu vezano so they can get on the buses. Some of the people who are doing this work are then having to posture themselves as ZANU people kuti vangosvika Zimbabwe chete. This is what's actually going on the ground. Testimony from the people who are there. There is an organization, and I'm sure some of you have seen Child of Zim. She's promoted this. There's work that is being done on this and has been getting done on this. There's a channel, iripa WhatsApp, the Civic Engagement Forum of Zimbabwe. They're giving updates, regular updates of what's going on the ground, the buses, like the immediate needs, etc., etc. That channel has about 7,400 people in there. So if you're not following, for anyone who's not following it, please do go and follow, because the information is there. And I think it's an organization because they've been organized, if I can say. Maybe they might not be registered, but they are organized as a group of people. I don't know who they are, but they're there. So it's called Civic Engagement Forum of Zimbabwe, and it's a channel. You just search that name and then it's you can find it, and I'll put a link in the chat as well. So what you're saying, we don't even need to guess, because the testimonies are saying kuti vanhu ava vezanu especially vari kuita zvechisanu where these people are being picked up. That's just what I wanted to add. As best said, honorable uncle.
Okay, Lou.
Saka, and it is Saka Murguana where I am going, with this conversation.
Uncle, can you just give us an opportunity to go to Gagagati?
Okay, DJ, come through.
Thank you so much, Uncle. And the cause behind the crisis, what does the March on March teach us? March on March teaches one simple thing. We have to be radical if we need things to change. So, vese vari committed, hakuna revolution kana independence yakamboya election. We voted in 2018, 2023. Election dzaidiwa voya kuno South Africa, SADC, AU yoindosa, right? 2023 vakaindosa akati no hapana SADC ne-AU yakataura kuti chinhu chiri kuora chakaora chiri kunhuhwa ichi, but nothing happened after that. And tikangoenda chiti tichazoti tozono engagement after engagement election yabiwa kudhara. So we should be asking ourselves, from here, what is the next thing, right? Going back to what March and March says, and not just Jacinta, what they are totally teaching us is radicalism, shanda. Obvious, we have to say out terrain, it's different. Yes, it's a fact, but do not assume kuti ana Jacinta havana brain dzekuti vanogona kuti ngatipindei patable tigare titaure tirizinane kuti taita sei. Vakatozviona kuti radicalism inoshanda. Ana Cyril there to come down and try and speak and meet with the same people vari kukonzera havoc, because vakatongonanga vakangoti ngatirove maforena bhiti une pepa kana una pepa rova pasi. That's radicalism at its highest peak. And it is zvokuti vanozorohwa nepolisi kana vanozoitwa sei vakati tozviona town street. So at some point we just have to choose, do we choose to be radical or we do not. Coming to nyema space ya mutaura Uncle Gerard, we are not saying that my spaces are bad or anything. Obvious conversation like the way that we are conversing now, it helps because we certainly get to initiate my conversation and we plan with how do we do these things. But the main thing, Jurutika, Uncle, if you really check with my spaces are infiltrated nevanhu vezanu. So we can't discuss a plan yemunhu atoda kutoita fight against. Vanouya so many times on this trying to tell us garbage all over left, right and center. Vanouya kuma inbox nechichichi, those same people vezanu. So their point out varipo izvozvi vari kutoteerera. Vabva ipanapo vari kutoenda kumeeting ekutoti hakuna blast ati arikuti radicalism is whatever. So those are the things that we must be wary of kuti tinavo vanhu vezanu panapa. But much and much yangokuratidzai kuti radicalism ndomboma. At some point mukaenda kuradicalism kune anozoita give inoti shuya ipatable titaure zvatenge tichitaura isi toziviziva kuti toda kutaura titi zvakaita sei. And I also feel kuti nyaya yekuti vanhu varohwa aiwana kubva kuzanu, the same zanu yatiri kuti tinofanira kudiscussa zvinhu vari panapa. It doesn't work. Same way nana vari kuita much and much munomu vakatoita radical vakati hatiteereri zvamuri kutaura nekuti tichaenda muswa 30 street tonopedza zvatiri kuda kuita, because ndosaka pane argument yekuti mukada kuti mugare navo muti but kana muti maforena vane mapepa nevasina ngavaende, it doesn't make sense. This they say they don't care, right? They don't care. Mazonzo, one of those gentlemen, I don't remember his name, pane video yekusekelera chitizoni now. He's saying, no, at some point I'll visit all my brothers in these countries and we'll talk and whatever. You see, which really shows kuti they literally knew kuti tikangoita radical tinopiwa platform yekutaura. Iko zvinova ne platform yekutaura vachinegotiate kuti ngatitei zvakati. I think that's my submission. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. I think
Can I speak, Uncle Jade?
Just a minute. I think if you go back to the introduction that I made, I think I raised some of those issues. But I need one thing to be clear here. I understand the concern that you're having, and it is genuine, and many people share that. But let us be clear on one thing. when we open up our spaces, I think this is where most people, get it wrong. I don't know whether it is, I'm not going to say that, but what I want to say is the purpose of having a conversation and a discussion on an open space, like this. It is open. It is open to everyone who is on the space. Unless I've blocked you, then you might not come and share, your views. But for as long as you are not a blocked individual, even if you're a ZANU-PF or whatever, you can still come in. And Elon Musk, has done this. Even if I have blocked you, you can still access some of the things, that somebody shares. If you block somebody, they will see everything, that you post. They may not interact with you, but they can follow the conversation, that you're having. So I'm not dismissing, I'm appreciating and recognizing the fact that what you're expressing is genuine. It's a genuine concern, and you're not the only one who's sharing, that concern. But the things, that we are discussing here, they are not operational plans. They are not secret tactics that we are talking about here. Or they are not anything that can be compromising anyone's safety. We're just discussing ideas. What is it, that we are learning? We're just discussing, principle. What is the principle, behind this thing? Or what are the lessons that we are gaining out of this regional event that has happened? No, Mirai.
Uncle, where is
Mirai.
trouble?
Mirai. Iowa, come on, Gan. Mirai in the pages on Dr. ZANU-PF will never get stronger because we are analyzing governance issues. But we can get stronger as citizens because we are trying to understand what governance is all about.